All right, today's guest, Helen Zhang, is the co-founder of Ziggy's, a new restaurant in Dumbo, Brooklyn, named after her son, Ziggy. She was previously a hospitality PR veteran and brand marketer who walked away from 15 years in communications to open her own restaurant. She wanted something that had great drinks, serious food, but also was kid-friendly. Helen, thanks so much for joining the Opening Soon podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Awesome. Well, I typically like to start pre brick and mortar business, and then we can talk about Ziggy's afterwards. So, we'd love to hear a little bit more about what you were doing beforehand.
Sure. So prior to starting Ziggy's, I spent my career in PR and brand marketing, both on the agency and brand side. So basically helping brands, big and small, tell their own stories and create communities and get customers and all that good stuff. So a lot of this work was actually for hospitality clients, which is, I think, how I caught this disease of wanting to be in the restaurant industry. And it's also how I met my husband, who has been in the industry for many, many years. So the idea for Ziggy's kind of came about after a lot of years being hospitality industry adjacent. And then, yeah, deciding to take the plunge myself.
What were some of the lessons that you learned working on the agency side with restaurants or hospitality companies? Like, what were some of the difficulties or challenges they faced?
Yes, great question. I think being on the PR and marketing side first now helps me so much as an operator because I know exactly what the marketing person needs. Now I have the privilege of being both the marketer and the operator, but just knowing that I think doing PR for restaurants, there's always that tension of marketing versus ops. Operations is always moving quickly and sometimes very spontaneously or putting out fires and just doing the day-to-day work that it takes to operate a brick and mortar business. Whereas in marketing, we plan quarters ahead for activations. And I think that background really helped me have this perspective of learning how to work with operations teams to be more nimble, and also educating, my operators and my managers and everyone I work with that there is this need to, plan ahead if you want to be a successful business and, gain an audience.
And what are the typical ways that hospitality or restaurants like to market? Is it, because it's so localized, do they like to do a lot of digital marketing, or is it like in-person activations, or is it out of home, sort of like billboards? Like what are the ways that they typically like to get the word out?
It really depends on the kind of business that you have. I've worked with hospitality groups, huge hospitality groups that, have video billboards in Las Vegas. I've also worked with mom and pop shops. Initiatives. I would say that I'm in the latter camp right now. Community building is so important to us being really what we strive to be as a neighborhood restaurant. So that's what we're focused on right now. I am leaning into doing a lot of in-person events. I think in the months before we opened, we were already doing in-person activations before we even had access to our brick and mortar space. I was doing pop-ups. I was hosting kids activities at local street fairs in the neighborhood. So, but that's because I knew who my audience was, and it was going to be locals and the residential community here in Dumbo. So I was very adamant to get in front of them early, for them to know who I was. Having that face-to-face interaction was paramount to our initial marketing strategy.
Yeah.
But like restaurants in general, like it's so there are, as I said, like huge hospitality groups that have multi-million months, and they that's when I'm like, okay, it makes sense that like they're running meta ads, or they have
Doing an ad on the Sphere.
exactly, like doing it out on the Sphere. Like I've worked with Tao Group, who like they have like tons of venues in Vegas, and I would have to like approve messaging about their chefs that would go on these giant video screens like on the Strip. So it's really I think like the channels that you're using as a restaurant, it's really just dependent on like your size, your budget, and how nimble you can be. Also, like we don't pay for any marketing. We just like don't have the budget, but like we do a ton on organic social, which is luckily free. And if you are crafty enough and you learn how to like optimize your content, and so that it has the most reach in the communities that you're targeting, like that can be just as an effective strategy, I think, as an out-of-home billboard like on the Manhattan Bridge.
Yep, makes sense. Really cool. And then I also noticed that you spent some time at high growth startup 10 doing communications as well. How was that experience?
It was singular. It was so fun. I joined really when they were building the company from 0 to 1. I think now Tend has like over 30 locations up and down the East Coast. When I joined, I think there were less than 5. So to be on locations. Yeah. Okay. Like maybe around 5, but I think we were only in New York at the time when we joined. When I joined, it was, but we had just gotten, I think, Series C funding, so like a big round of funding, and it was like just boarding the rocket ship right before takeoff. It was like we were expanding into like, I think I helped launch in Boston, DC, and a couple other. It was like 3 market launches within the first like 4 months I was there. So it was just like a really fun experience of like working with really, really brilliant people. I like still obviously like keep in touch with these people to this day, and having access to people outside of like my function. So like I learned so much about growth marketing and performance marketing, but also creative, and like how all of those functions work together to really like do go-to-market strategy.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
For the audience who's listening, who doesn't know what Tend is like the most beautiful,
Tend
like,
is
it's like
Tend is like Tend is it was always very easy. So I looked after comms and PR, which included like organic social, influencer, media relations, like corporate positioning, pretty much anything that sat under the communications umbrella. But I found it actually very easy to give an elevator pitch, because it was literally one line. It's like the dentist that you look forward to, which if you are a human being, it doesn't really exist. And what really drew me to the company, I had come from a decade plus of marketing and PR, mostly in the hospitality industry, but also for bigger consumer brands, technology brands. And I saw Tend as really a lifestyle product, where it was like you go into this spa-like environment and you just happen to get your teeth cleaned. So that was just really intriguing to me, and it was like a fun challenge as a marketer. I was like, this is like the least unsexy category that you can think of, like literally the dentist, and turning that into a super appealing experience to a lot of people. Like, people laugh, but I'm like, I was overseeing like influencer marketing in the dental space, which is just like so wacky and interesting, and but it was a really fun experience.
Yeah. I feel like there's an influencer for every type of niche category these
Yes.
days, and it doesn't surprise me that there's one for dentistry now too.
Nope, not at all. And what was but what was really fun about it was that it was actually a lot of just general lifestyle influencers, because you realize that like everyone has to go to the dentist at some point.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, these obviously sound like really relevant experiences to you doing your own thing in brick and mortar. So tell me a little bit about how you founded Ziggy's.
So the idea for Ziggy's Roman Cafe, it was there's like a few overlapping forces, but I guess one was very personal in that, like, my husband has, as I said, has been in the hospitality industry his whole career. We've always loved like supporting the industry and the community. We've always gone out to eat at like the most amazing places, just as like a secondhand effect of like being in the industry.
Yeah.
And then,
and your husband is also one of the co-founders of Employees Only.
Yes. So Employees Only
which is
was
like a really popular bar that I've frequented as well.
Yeah, everyone has an Employees Only story.
Yeah.
So yeah, Employees Only is like what is now I think 21 years old, but it was really at like the forefront of the he hates the word mixology, but it was at the forefront of like the craft cocktail movement, I would say, in like the early 2000s. And it's been on like the world's 50 best bars list over like a dozen times, and like
really cool.
I say that, yeah, really cool. And I say that not to like brag, but just to make the point that like we were like very spoiled being in the industry and like experiencing. Yeah, no, he's so humble, and he hates when I like talk about him and like his accomplishments, but. My point being, like, we were just like always exposed to the best food and beverage experiences, like as when we were dating after we were married, like as and then into becoming parents. So we just like have these very high standards of like what the food and beverage experience should be. And I think that starting Ziggy's, it really came from our like filling our own personal need. Like, we really stopped going out to eat when we had kids. We became parents, and that if you have kids, like going out to eat with kids is a literal nightmare. So we went when we were like in the first early years. We were like just very heads down in parenting. We like really lost that like zest for life. We dreaded going out to eat. We were just like eating at food halls on the weekends. We would get Shake Shack. Like, it was that was like what we were like, okay, it was a success. Like, this weekend we got to like go to DeKalb Market in downtown Brooklyn and like have a meal, and the kids were like going insane, but it's fine. So we never, you don't realize until like you become a parent, like how few truly like inclusive, family friendly spaces there are for people who like want to still have that elevated dining experience, and like just happen to have a gaggle of kids with them. So that was our attempt to fill that white space. We just wanted a place to serve delicious food, and the reason we chose Roman food, and because it's pizzas and pastas, is because it's everyone loves Italian food. It's an easy, it's really easy, like for picky eaters and for kids. Crowd pleaser. We work with amazing chefs, and obviously we have really good drinks because of my husband's background. So we just like wanted to create that experience but also like build this space, this community for people going through the same thing as us. And it's not to say that like you can't come to Ziggy's if you don't have kids, because we have people who come all the time on date nights and, you know, girls' night out and all of that. But we do have a soft spot for, you know, people who rock up with a stroller and they're like, my kid is hungry, I need a buttered noodle on the table in 7 minutes. And we're like, we got you.
Wow. There's a lot of my friends are having kids.
Yeah.
And we're also expecting.
Oh my God,
as well.
congrats.
Thank you. So, you know, if we had filmed this maybe a year or two ago, I probably wouldn't have as much empathy or context. But like just seeing my friends go through it, and then for us as well, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I heard, you know, once you have kids, you rarely go out. It's just much more difficult, as you said. So this is a really relevant, you know, restaurant.
You're gonna have so much fun. You are. It is. I mean, it changes who you are at your very core, but I would say becoming a parent is like the thing that changes your life the most for the better, and just like you know, your perspective shifts on everything. But you're right, like it's just hard. Like I see people going through it. It's like you just are so, you like kind of, it's hard to keep who you are. Like it's hard. Your whole identity shifts. You're just like, I am Rio's mom, I'm Ziggy's mom. There are people who I see like all the time, but they don't know my name. They're just like, oh, now I'm like, oh, she's the owner of Ziggy's, but like for a long time it's like, oh, that's so and so's mom. So yeah,
I heard you become supporting cast instead of the main character.
Exactly. You become you know, you become Ziggy's mom in a lot of people's contacts.
And so what about Ziggy's does it make it like kid friendly? Like how is it different from other restaurants?
So I think the most obvious thing is we are lucky enough to have a 2-floor space. So I'm actually here right now. It's like a mezzanine space. And it's separate from our main dining room, but from a real estate perspective, we're lucky enough to have the square footage too. We've built like a small play area in our mezzanine. So it's very simple. It's not like a McDonald's playpen or a ball pit. It's quite literally like a small gym mat. It's probably like 3 by 9 or like maybe 4 by 10. With like a small table and then some like sensory toys. So there's like some Magnetiles, there's some stuffed animals, there's like a couple of board games, and not anything, you know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I think any parent will tell you like when there's some sort of novelty like in a space where you're like trying to get a meal in, the kids will gravitate towards it, and it kind of like, it's just like really keeps them occupied for a few minutes. They eat notoriously fast, at least like my kids do. They'll like shove down you know, a couple of slices of pizza and then they're done. So this kind of gives the kids like something to do and gives the parents an opportunity to like sit and actually enjoy their meal, like have that second spritz that they were wanting.
Nice.
And then
So is it like, you know, if I'm to come in with my child, I have a meal there, and then my kid finishes super fast, and they go up to the mezzanine and like play around while I'm hanging out?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, so we actually have like dining up in the mezzanine too. So like typically what happens is like if you come and you're a family, we'll send you upstairs if they're
Got it.
And then we just also like train our team to be like super empathetic and accommodating. I think it's hard to understand, especially like if you're not a parent, like sometimes like the kid just needs the food really fast. Like they're cranky, they're like on the verge of a meltdown. And so like we have like a system and like get them. And then, yeah, well, we have like standard stuff that restaurants have been doing forever. Like again, not reinventing the wheel. Like we have a fun coloring sheet. We'll have crayons. And I think it's just about the general attitude of being inclusive and accommodating to everyone. Like we have had so many experiences where when you like roll up to a restaurant with a stroller and you just like get that look or like you can just feel it.
Sure.
So we really make an effort to be welcoming to everybody.
Great. And how big is the space, and how did you choose your location in Dumbo?
The space is over, it's like 1,500 square feet. So it's definitely, we have like 70-ish seats. And then we'll have outdoor space in the spring, which is really exciting. But our kids went to pre-K in Dumbo. So we were like pretty familiar with just like the neighborhood and also the parent community here, just from like our kids going to school here. And we had been kind of quietly looking for a space for a while, just like on the back burner. At the time I was like, oh, maybe I'll like help out on the side while I'm like working my corporate job. And I think we ended up finding this space that was like almost directly on the waterfront. And if you're familiar with Dumbo, you know that like there are a lot of tourists here. It's like a very picturesque, Instagrammable neighborhood. People are always like taking that notorious photo of the Manhattan Bridge on Washington Street. And so we were like, this is, I mean, location-wise, it really doesn't get better. It's like on the Brooklyn waterfront, and it will have, it has a ton of tourist traffic, but it also has this thriving residential community all around. And what's interesting about Dumbo is that because I think the tourist traffic is so heavy, a lot of the food and beverage concepts, so you have like the Time Out Market, which is like a big food hall. That's like a global chain of some sort, I think. So super heavy tourist traffic. And then you have Dumbo House, which is a members club. And then you have a couple of other like high-end restaurants. But I think what we needed here in Dumbo was like more neighborhood restaurants. We had been just hearing pleas from parents for years, like, you guys should open something here. Like, there's not enough places to eat. It's really like, I'm going to Cicconi's, which is a beautiful restaurant on the waterfront, but like, it's like a place where you celebrate your birthday, or I'm eating at like Sweet Green. It was like, there's that middle ground. Like there are some great places, but like there just like needed to be more, in comparison to like the number of people who actually live here. So for all of those reasons, we were like, I think this is like the perfect spot. And we ended up, just getting this lease.
And when did you sign the lease?
We signed the lease in late July, early August, and we had been looking at the space. No, of 25.
Of 25, okay.
Of 25. So we just opened in November of 25, and we fortunately inherited like a space with great bones that was always a restaurant previously, so it had the infrastructure. We didn't have to do a ton of construction. It was a lot of just like cosmetic alterations, and just some general like aesthetic things. But I think it was only like 2 or 3 months of that construction, and super fast, and on like a shoestring budget. That's I think one of the things we were the most proud of, was like what we were able to do on such a scrappy budget, which is also a very common theme in marketing too. You're always like working with a little and trying to do a lot. So yeah, we
So, a quick question on,
yeah.
the budget. Can you say how much you had to spend on the renovations, and did you have to raise funds for this, or was this like through savings?
Yeah. We did like friends and family fundraise of not a huge amount, but we also contributed ourselves. The renovation, honestly, we spent way less than we had originally budgeted for. We were just like making deals left and right. We were like, our marble supplier like gave our marble to us at cost because like my husband had like a mutual
Wow.
friend with him from 20 years ago. It was like we were really just hustlers in building it out. So we spent like I think very low, like low six figures
On everything.
on everything.
Wow.
And it's funny because like in the beginning my husband and I like would get into like fights about just like the renovation and stuff because he would always say like, if it was up to you we would be building out a $5 million restaurant, and I'm like and
Oh,
I'd be
you
like,
were you were pushing the budget, and he's like, hold on, we need
yeah,
to like
he
take it
I
back a
mean
bit.
he's been doing it for so long, so he knows. He knows like where the savings can be found, and he's done it many times. So yeah, I was like more the dreamer and
Yeah.
like the
Well, you need both.
exactly. I was like the pie in the sky ideas person, and trying to trying to put everything on my vision board, and he'd be like, we don't have $10 million, like can you stop? I'd be like, but like why can't we just do it? But we ended up finding a very happy medium, just through like again like good relationships, a great architect who was very scrappy, and yeah, just like also inheriting good bones.
Cool. So you renovate in just 2-3 months, and were able to open late last year. How did you get the word out in the beginning? I know that you were saying you were doing in-person activations even before the restaurant opened. What was your marketing approach?
Yes, I think in the beginning I really focused on community building and getting the word out. One thing that was actually extremely helpful that I didn't anticipate was when we first gained access to the space, we put a vinyl, which is, you're in the signs business,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
on the windows.
We put a big vinyl on the windows, and this is actually something that we used to do in my Tend days. That was a huge acquisition channel for us, like at Tend, was putting a vinyl on the windows and putting the website and get on the wait list. Here's the website, here's the Instagram. And so I followed in that footstep, and we put a big vinyl on our window of a drawing that was like inspired by my kids' drawings. But our
Wow,
logo
that's
is
fun.
like a Godzilla, a version of Godzilla. And so we did a big illustration of Godzilla napping in the Roman Colosseum. And this vinyl is like takes up 3 storefront windows. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it just said like Ziggy's Roman Cafe coming soon, with our Instagram handle. And I think we did, and then we did like a sandwich board outside that had a QR code to join our email list. So I was very adamant to build an email list from early on, because I know it's like really the only way you can own your customers.
Yeah.
Is via email, because you just never know what's going to happen to the platforms in this volatile world.
Exactly.
So I was pretty adamant to start building that list early on, and so at every touch point, whether it was like the window vinyl that led to our Instagram, it would always link to a page where you could join our email list, and I just like incentivized it with I think over the summer we did merch drops, and I say like drops as if like we're like Kith, but it was literally just like me and my friend buying T-shirts from Target and like heat transferring our logo, and then like giving out the shirts for free at like local events. But it was actually it was really magical, like how the community just like came on board. I would have people emailing me and saying like, I want a Ziggy's t-shirt, how do I get one? This is like months before we open, like maybe like 5-6 months before we open. So I think just like building that anticipation from the start, and then we had amazing branding partners too, an agency called Picnic, who, you know, designed this incredible brand system, I think, that actually just got people really intrigued from the start. Like, okay, this is a cute business in the neighborhood that has like really good branding, like what's it all about? And I think piquing their interest from like a graphic perspective, and then leading them to, you know, a page where they can learn more and get updates. Was really key. And then I think, I don't know how big it is today, but like by the time we opened, I had like over 1,000 people on my email list. Nice. And then we also, another, because you could tell I'm very big on in-person events. Another thing we did was throw like a big opening preview party. And this was, it's ironic because I worked in PR for a very long time, and like usually you'll do like a media preview or like, yeah, just like a VIP event for like celebrities or influencers or journalists. And I threw a party like for the neighborhood. So it was like open bar and pizza for everyone who was on my email list. And when I say we had like a wait list of like a couple hundred people to like RSVP to our opening party, which like it, to me is like now looking back quite insane for like a 1,500 square foot restaurant in Brooklyn that no one's heard of. Yeah. But I think that was like a core memory for me from 2025, is just like 400 people showing up to like our restaurant that hadn't opened yet to like celebrate with us.
That's amazing. I mean, how many people can you fit in the restaurant? I feel like that would...
Not 400. Definitely not 400. Probably more like 100 to 150.
Okay.
Very
like packed.
This was like staggered. People were staggered. It was a lot of outside spillover. At one point, I considered calling the cops on myself. I was like, I was like, how am I going to shut it down? Like, I might have to just like call the cops. Luckily, we didn't have to do that. Yeah. I thought that would be really smart. And I actually have a friend who's in the NYPD, and I like texted him the day before, and I was like, what do you think about this? And he was like, please don't. And so got shut down quickly, but I thought it would have been funny. But yeah, luckily we just like turned the lights on and people got the hint. But it was a great party.
I love the like just leveraging what you have, because in Dumbo there's probably thousands of people that walk by your restaurant every day, and then like, you know, if it's an interesting, cool vinyl cover on the windows, it gets people excited.
Yeah, so, which I totally underestimated. I was like, I did not think there was that amount of street traffic or just like people traffic on the sidewalk. But we like to this day we haven't taken the vinyl down yet. It's because it's clear with like the with an illustration, so you can see through it like through the window, and we haven't taken it down yet because people still like walk by and they take photos of it, and like they're intrigued, and it's still like part of our brand identity. So I think eventually we will take it down, but it's still there for now.
Really cool. So, you know, we're in February, end of February now, and it's been about 3-4 months since opening. How has the journey been so far?
It's been wild. I tell people that every day I wake up and I feel like I'm just going to war. Like no 2 days look the same. truly is like a disease that you catch when you're like, I want to open a restaurant. I'm like, I don't know why anyone would do this, but people do. And but it's been incredibly rewarding. I think just, meeting so many people who like want to genuinely support us. I think that's been the best part. We've seen a lot. I think the most reassuring part of our journey has been like people have become regulars. We have a lot of repeat customers. We have families that come that they've made it like their Friday night ritual. They'll come do pizza at Ziggy's. And we've seen a lot of people come and want to do birthday parties with us or big events. So it's been interesting just trying to figure out like the lanes of the business to build and how to prioritize all of those things, because like we are such a lean team. I'm like, I wish I could like just be the marketer, but unfortunately I'm also like the content creator, the event salesperson, sometimes like the Baldor food delivery recipient. Like so it's wearing a lot of different hats and trying to prioritize a lot of different functions. But in terms of business, it's been really great. It's been like people showing up again, like over and over again. I think that's the part I'm the most excited about. And then we're, getting our sidewalk license soon. So as soon as like it gets nice outside, we're gonna have an amazing sidewalk cafe with a ton of seats, and people will be able to like have their spritzes outside, right on the Brooklyn waterfront. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. And what were maybe some of the unexpected challenges that you faced as well?
Oh gosh, where do I begin? Well, I would say like when we were building, we were moving so quickly that sometimes like you don't like cross your T's and dot your I's. So for example, like we didn't realize that Con Ed was not our gas vendor until literally we were trying to turn on our gas for our chef to start cooking. In the like 1 month before opening, we were like, oh, we're gonna start testing recipes. We're gonna turn on the gas. We already have a Con Ed account, like we're good, and we there was nothing turned on when we did this. And then a friend of mine who actually works at Con Ed, I called her and she was like, Con Ed does not serve Brooklyn for gas. You're on the national grid. And I was like, what is national grid? Like, what? None of us had any idea. And now that I'm very familiar with national grid, and they are very bureaucratic, and everything takes a long time, even when you like, it's very hard to like skip the line. So I think they were like, oh, it's going to take like 90 days to get your gas on. We're like, no, you don't understand. Like, we need to start 90? Cooking. Yeah, it's something ridiculous. It's like one of those like take a number and wait kind of things.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to like just like call every day and get, beg for help and then go in person and do all these things. But eventually we did get our gas turned on. But that was like a very memorable fuck up in the early days. And then in terms of other challenges, I think, my husband was very adamant to start with like a simple menu. I, again, being like the pie in the sky marketing person, I was like, I want to have this and that, and I want to have like a different lasagna special every week, and I want to do this pastry that I had in Rome that was amazing. And I had like grand schemes plotted, and he brought me down to earth. And I think, that was actually a great thing, because just opening with like a simpler menu of things that like are going to be delicious, but that also helped us manage just our payroll and like our labor.
Operations.
and operations, exactly. So I think we're excited now because we just launched brunch and we're like kind of testing the waters a bit on new dishes and experimenting more in the kitchen and having some fun with that. But to start, I'm very happy that I listened to him and we like started with a simpler menu.
Yeah. How big is the team at Ziggy's right now?
It's like my husband and I, we have another managing partner who is his best friend of like 30 years, which is very interesting dynamic because we're just like one big happy family. And then we have front of house and back of house teams. I'd say like between 20 to 25 people.
20, 25?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And then you recently launched brunch. What's next, over the next few months or over the course of the next year?
We're looking forward to outdoor patio season for sure. We are going to launch lunch in the next month or two. Right now we're only open for dinner and brunch. So to be able to have like a neighborhood lunch offering, I think will help the business a lot just in terms of not just the residential community, but like there's so many like offices and commercial tenants in Dumbo as well that I think also are gonna really love what we're doing during the day.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Do you ever, because you're in such a touristy area, do you ever get, tourists that come in expecting, like a normal restaurant, but then all of a sudden there's like a playpen upstairs and like kids running around and like, what the heck is going on here?
It's very interesting. There's definitely a vibe shift at around like 7 p.m. and it turns to like more of like a adult, just normal restaurant. But we have gotten tourists who come in and first they're confused because the restaurant is called Ziggy's Roman Cafe, but it's really a misnomer because we're a full service restaurant. So we first get tourists who come in and think like, oh, I need like coffee to go. So they're expecting like a barista situation, and we're like, no, go next door to Don's. They've got all your to-go coffee needs. And then there'll be people, but people are honestly like delighted. I find that they think it's like a differentiator and it's interesting. And I think the concepts like this are a lot more common in Europe and other parts in the world. So I think like it's also fun for tourists to see that. And I think we like got a Google review once that was like a 1-star, very negative review, but it was like, I think it said like very odd concept. I was sitting at the bar getting drunk while there was a playpen upstairs of kids yelling, and I don't know if I commented, but I really wanted to comment back saying like, I don't get why this is a bad review. Like, why is this a 1-star review? This sounds like a really fun, unique, awesome experience to me.
It's like surprisingly one of the best drinks I had, but there was like kids
so it's fun, and we're also like we're trying to figure out too like how to cater to different audiences. Like we intentionally built a very sophisticated bar program so that we would attract people who like enjoy elevated drinks and delicious food, while like still being inclusive to the little toddlers that want to come play upstairs.
Helen, what's it like working with your husband? Starting something as a couple.
This is a really good question. There are definitely moments of high tension, especially in the beginning when we were building. I think at our, it's both a challenge and it's also an advantage in a lot of ways, because as a married couple, you have like a foundation of intrinsic trust in each other that like, hey, I trust your taste and you trust mine, and I also like trust, your instincts, and your experience. So that part I think is an advantage, but it can definitely get messy and emotional, especially when there's feedback or criticism. Like I I hate negative feedback of any kind. Personally, I'm like, yeah, give me I'm like that meme that's like, yeah, when I said give me feedback, I meant like only positive feedback. So, and then that also, stings more when it's coming from the person you love and and like your life partner. So it cuts both ways. But I think in the end, it's like it's a huge privilege to like, be able to do something together, and like also as a family, like I am so joyful to be like building a family business to like model for my own kids that what like entrepreneurship looks like, and that like we're building this together. It's teamwork. We all like are sacrificing every day. Like my kids are sacrificing like not having their mom do bedtime every night because like she's working, or like and my husband is doing a lot more pickups from school because I'm at the restaurant, or so that part has been like extremely rewarding, just like modeling this for the kids, but yeah, does not come without its touchy moments and its challenges.
No, thanks for sharing that. I started both of our businesses with my wife as well. And
I was going to say, this well.
Yes, I'm a big believer in like couple or like married couple founded businesses, and I think it's such a life hack because you're together all the time, so there's never usually like communication barriers when you might be starting something with someone else and it's like, oh, let's hop on a Zoom, or then you have to go home, but then to your point, it kind of bleeds into personal life, and then how do you like separate things?
Yeah.
How do you like just not talk about business all the time?
Totally.
But if it works, I think it works really, really well. But
Yeah.
then on the counter, it can be harmful.
Yeah.
If not done.
No, you're right that it is a life hack. It's extremely efficient because
Yes,
when you
very
have a question or just like you need to sync on something, you're literally like, we live together, so we can just
exactly.
have a 5-minute chat like while we're having dinner.
Yes.
It is extremely efficient, but also like then you have to really determine what the boundaries are to keep them healthy, and like I think I think like it can I think at one point when we were building, it was all we were talking about at home, which like
Same.
sucks for the kids. Like it was like probably very annoying for them. And
how old are your kids now?
they're 5 and 7.
5
So and they're both boys, so like they keep us very physically active, and they're also like at the age where they're both like so chatty and curious about everything. Everything is like, why this, why that, who are you talking about? And now like they can both like read now, which is annoying because they're like over my shoulder like reading my emails, being like, what's this, like, who are you talking to, why are you texting so and so's mom? And like, guys, leave me alone. But yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah. What do your kids think about the restaurant?
I think they probably take it for granted. We actually, they like treat it like it's their house. They come in, they're like running up and down, and I'm like, guys, this is like a place of business. Please, like, please stop, sit down. I usually try to like just keep them in one spot when they're here, because they truly they'll like go behind the bar and like make themselves a Sprite. I'm like, this is not okay. But I hope that they like it. They've become like, the kids at school, where like the kids are coming up to them being like, oh my God, I went to your restaurant. And like the teachers kind of know, and
so
it's become like a thing for them. So I hope it's not something that they are self-conscious about, and I hope it's something that they'll one day like be proud of, and be happy that they were really the core inspiration
Yeah.
for the whole journey. So so I'm hopeful. And I also I don't know, I think it's very, I think it's important for them to learn at a young age that not only what work ethic looks like, but what risk taking looks like, and just like building something from scratch, and having really to no one else to depend on, and I don't know, I immigrated here with my parents when I was 4, and there were financial stability was never a thing when I was growing up, but for that reason, my parents were so financially conservative, and just the most important thing was stability and having a stable job and a pension and saving for a home, and not rocking the boat. So I did not grow up. I grew up in a very risk averse environment, in terms of business and entrepreneurship. So it's been very uncomfortable for me to do something so different from the way I grew up. But
how did you get past that challenge to entrepreneurship, which is probably the most risky thing you can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I definitely when I was working in PR and marketing forever, I would always get the question why don't you just start your own thing, or go out on your own. That's a lot. It's very common for good PR people to go out on their own and start their own shop, and people would always ask me, and I was like, no, I like being an employee. I don't want to be responsible for other people's livelihoods or payroll or health insurance or any of those things. But I think I just got to a point, honestly, after having kids, I was if I don't try to do something and build something of my own now, I probably won't ever do it. And I think I'll probably regret never trying, because what's the worst that can happen? You fail, and you had just a really expensive lesson, and you learned a lot. There are no mistakes, there are just lessons. Yeah. So I think it was just getting older and kind of not having a midlife crisis, but realizing that if I would always regret it if I didn't try.
Yeah. And it seems like it's an idea that really resonates with you, and it's because of your kids as well, and it's a need that you wanted to exist. So it's not I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Totally. And I am really fortunate to have a group of friends who are all very entrepreneurial and have brilliant ideas, and we've tossed around dozens of business ideas over the years. But I think what has made this one so successful is that it's so intertwined with my personal story, and people are really invested in, it resonates with so many people. The same story resonates with so many people in this community. And I think creating so much content in the beginning about why I started the business, and the journey along the way got others to feel invested in my success as well. So yeah,
seems authentic. So
we're trying our best.
Awesome. Well, Helen, I know that it's only been a few months since you opened, but almost a year on this journey. Looking back on everything you've done with Ziggy's, is there anything that you would have changed, knowing what you know now?
Oh, good question. Probably a million little things. Yeah, probably a ton of things, but honestly, I just wish that I had, this is like so Asian of me, but I just wish that I had like worked more.
Worked more.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I just wish that I had like worked, put more hours in and worked and had basically had a clone of myself. Like I feel like I was just telling my husband today, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to try to like build an AI agent of and like to clone myself so that I can like be twice as productive and like try to do more things. But I don't know. I think it's very easy to compare with other businesses and like and other successes, and I'm just like I don't know. I'm like I wish I just like worked more and did more, but there's time. There's
Well, it's still so early, and then also
Still so
AI is
early.
improving so fast. You might actually get your phone
right.
pretty soon.
I am next time we talk. You'll be talking to a robot version of me.
AI Helen.
AI Helen. I don't
And the
know.
funny thing is, I'll be AI too, so it's just
Yeah,
gonna be two
it'll
AIs
just be two
talking to
AIs.
each other.
Yes.
But it's gonna be a full-on podcast
Totally.
update.
Totally. It's going to be two agents chatting with each other.
Oh man, crazy world. Well, I mean, the one thing AI is probably gonna disrupt last is food and restaurants. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing about
God
the industry.
willing. I am really hoping my kids like both become like HVAC technicians because I'm like,
Exactly.
what are
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like we need to just have like AI proof careers, everyone in this family. So
Yeah. Helen, this is really fun. If people want to get in touch, follow along, what's the best way for them to do so?
we are on Instagram at Ziggy's Roman Cafe. We're also on TikTok. I am on both Instagram and TikTok. My handle's Tequila Mom. Yeah, funny
Yeah,
story.
fun past.
Yes, I had a fun past. It's like when you don't want to throw away like old clothes that you'll never wear again, but you're like, I want to keep this one piece because I just have so many fond memories with her, and
Yeah.
that's me, but with tequila. And what else? You can always email us, chow@ziggy'sromancafe.com. I would love to hear from any and all of you.
Awesome. All right, Helen. Well, we'll have to stop by Ziggy's.
You will have to
sometime in the
stop
near future.
by. Yes.
Yeah, really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.